Hello you guys, I am working on my motorcycle here. I have it all torn apart, and I wanted to make a quick video on how to do the spark plugs. I was having a little bit of trouble with finding videos on how to even do the spark plugs, or spark plugs in general on a motorcycle. I have a little bit of experience on cars, not like too much at all, but I definitely am knowledgeable about cars. I just don't really work on them. But just diving into this motorcycle has been very easy, very straightforward, nothing too complicated. But today we're going to be replacing the spark plugs on my 1999 Honda VTR 1000 SuperHawk. I just wanted to make this video because like I said, it was very hard to find information on like even how to do spark plugs, let alone on this specific motorbike. And which is a shame because this bike is pretty old. There's a decent amount of videos on it, but I just could not find anything about the spark plugs in general. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and I'll show you what I've done to it so far. That way you can kind of get an idea of where I'm at on this project. So here it is, all taken apart. I took the gas tank, the air filter, and the carburetor off. Online it says that you only really need to take the front bolts off of the tank and lift it up, and then you should be able to do both the front and the rear spark plugs. The only reason why I took it apart this far is because I was cleaning out the carburetor anyways, and I'll go ahead and post or show you guys some pictures of what my carburetor looked like. Unfortunately I didn't have any pictures of like the jets, but mine was super bad. Couldn't even see through the big pilot jet, you know, the thick one. It was clogged completely. You couldn't even see through it. I'm not even sure how it still ran, but this is where we're at right now. And like I said, initially I was even having trouble figuring out where the spark plugs are located. I'm used to looking at cars more so often, and so I kind of had an idea of what I was looking for, but on this one, so this is one of the spark plugs. This is the rear spark plug, and then on this one, it's probably a little hard to see, but again, there is another wire here. It's probably hard to see, but it definitely looks similar to the rear spark plug, and that's why they say you only need to really lift the front tank up. You don't even need to take it all the way off. But like I said, since I already took the carb off and everything, I just went ahead and cleaned it and decided I'll do the spark plugs as well. This motorbike does have pretty high mileage, about 37,000 miles. I don't know when the previous owner did the spark plugs, so I went ahead and decided to do it myself while I'm already in here. One thing that I do want to note about doing this spark plug change, and probably any spark plug change, especially on an older bike, is that I have a hard time finding even the right spark plugs. I went to Cycle Gear. They said, yeah, I see them, I just can't even order them, or I'd have to get like really shitty ones. But for the most part, he said, yeah, I can't even order them for you. You know, you'll have to look around. Then I went to Napa, thinking, you know, they're a little bit more specialty store. I figured they might have something, or at least could possibly order them. They didn't even have them. They could order them, but they didn't have them at all. And I ended up actually going to AutoZone, and somehow AutoZone had the spark plugs. They didn't even have them in stock. I was kind of surprised. Like I said, being an older bike, it is kind of, you know, a unique motorcycle, I guess. I don't know. But I'll post up the screen of what kind I actually got, and what I found online on what the actual spark plug number is. Any place like AutoZone, Napa, O'Reilly, they can do like a, I don't know, filter search on like the spark plug part number. You just have to give them the part number, and I found the part number using Cycle Gear, and then I just gave them that and they were able to find it. Like I said, they surprisingly had these in stock because every store that I went to said that these are kind of like a unique spark plug. So If you're having trouble finding spark plugs, definitely hit up AutoZone. If anything, they'll probably even be able to just order them for you. And I didn't want to do, you know, some shitty brand, so definitely went with NGK's. May as well. They're a little bit pricier, probably like double the price. It's still 10 bucks. Rather have a good pair of spark plugs than this than some shitty brand. So yeah, so I'm gonna kind of film me taking out this spark plugs. One other thing is that I went ahead and at AutoZone I bought a deep 16. Initially I went and bought a deep 18 because online it says that you need a deep 18 to get out the spark plugs. I don't know if you can kind of tell about that front end. You definitely need also a long extension and a deep socket for any spark plug really. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Online says the 18 to remove, so I bought 18, came home, looked at my new spark plugs, test fitted it on my deep socket 18. They didn't fit, had to go back, bought a 16. So hopefully the spark plug that's already in there is an 18. If not, I'll just use a 16 to get them out. Hopefully I still have the right size. But again, not a big deal if I have to go back and get a different size. But yeah, keep that in mind as well. You're gonna need a deep socket on this particular bike and a pretty long extension to be able to reach all the way under like all the fairings and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of show that in a minute, and yeah. So like I said, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna be able to film, but right here is the rear spark plug. Basically just wiggle it off. So I went ahead and took the plug off, and then deep in there is the actual spark plug. I just tested my deep socket 18 and it does grab and bite. And you kind of want a thin-walled socket of any kind. I bought a Craftsman from AutoZone because that's kind of what people were saying would fit. And I'm just gonna pull this bad boy out. Here is the rear spark plug. A little hard to tell. Yeah, definitely old, definitely burnt. The whole reason why I'm even doing the spark plugs is because when I would get on it, when I give it like, I don't know, 50% throttle, it would stutter constantly. And so initially I thought that it was the carb. You know, and like I said, I just cleaned it. I haven't even put the carb back on, but I figured I may as well do the spark plugs because I don't know how much maintenance the previous owner did. And yeah, I'm glad I decided to do the spark plugs. I was initially going to skip it just because I was having a hard time find it, but AutoZone had my spark plugs in stock, and so here we are. Yeah, this is the front, the rear. Put in the new one. Put that off to the side. Get out our new one. This one is a 16. So yeah, once I get everything all put back together, I'll show you guys how it looks putting it back in. So just to give you guys kind of a little update, I replaced the rear spark plug. By the way, this is a new day. I put mostly everything back together, but the reason why I didn't put the spark plugs in yet is because those spark plugs that I bought from AutoZone were not the right ones. Online it shows the equivalent for the NGKs, so I had to go back, return those, and then this is one of the ones I pulled out of the front. And so I went back, returned them, and said, hey, can you give me one that has this part number? They said they didn't have them in stock, so I went to O'Reilly's. They had them in stock. Unfortunately, they're not the best quality. They're copper, but these are the ones that you want to get if you're going to do spark plugs on a 1999 Honda SuperHawk. 4162 is the right part number. So I just installed one in the rear. This is from the front. I'm gonna put in this one, 4162, on the front and put some anti-seize on it. And once I get it all back together, I'll show you guys how it sounds, and hopefully it runs better.